Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are all over the world. My name is Fidelis Kwaporo. I'm here again for us to pick brains. You know, knowledge is power, and the world needs much more knowledge at this time, ever more than before, because considering the situation of things all over the world, we cannot emphasize the need for much knowledge than it was before. There are so many subtle variables that make a man or more people, of which the emphasis of the world has been so much focused on regular education, which is very good, apparently. But we have to also look at all these subtle variables. We keep looking, it's endless. And they are the powerful variables that make, they are the superstructure of whatever you become, right from cradle, childhood, to teenage years, adolescence, and even to adulthood. It's a continuum because you know that knowledge is a continuum. It's not something you say at a point, I'm done with knowledge. I'm done with acquiring information. So to that extent, my brothers and sisters, that is why I'm here, because we have to look at some of those subtle variables, one of which is this idea of the tendency for us, maybe in the course of growing up, even as an adult, instead of living your life from that time, wherever you are at any point in time, living your life from that stage in terms of what you want to be or who you want to be, the ideal you want. Is this the professional ideals? Is it in terms of acquisition of any kind of wealth or whatever? We have a tendency to postpone our desire, postpone our wants. What do I mean by postponing our wants? Many a times, if you ask people, or even as a child, maybe somebody will say, what do you want to be? When you now move it to when you grow up, what do you want to be when you become this? So the tendency to be futuristic in your desire, which is almost like hanging your desire in the balance. It is good to streamline your desire, be specific about it, be concise, know exactly what you want, because when you know exactly what you want, you are sending message specific to your subconscious mind. But the idea of living what you want for the future, for example, you say, what do you want to be when you grow up? You say, I want to be a doctor. Very good. But the issue of hanging your desire of becoming a doctor in the future, it's almost like living it in the balance. So a more strategic and specific way of going about it is whatever you want, you start living that life right now. At the moment, as you are, wherever you are, if it is a child, we start grooming the child as a doctor, as an engineer, as a scientist, as a volunteer, whatever you want to be. Make that child to start in the present, because the mind cannot segregate or distinguish between imagination and reality. It does not know the future or the now or even the past. What it knows is whatever you are thinking, the feeling, nurturing that thought will be developed, and it's to start pulling all the factors and variables in life. Some might use the balance, attracting your desire to you. So having known that the mind does not process ideas as to know, is this futuristic? Is it present? Is this idea or feeling something that is tenable or untenable? It doesn't segregate and process all those things. It's only the brain that tries to process ideas based on what you have fed it. And it does not streamline it along falsehood or reality, no? So having known the functionalities of the brain, what you do then to help is whatever you want, however you want it, start feeling it right now in the present. Behave that way, feel that way, act that way, talk that way. If you want to be a doctor, if possible, hang your stethoscope in your house where you'll be seeing it every day. Bring all the medical journals you know, print them around yourself. Talk doctor, talk medical, talk scientific. Feel it. Psych yourself. And the more you do that, it's almost like you're attracting that thing you see as future in the present. And the variables as bequeathed to man by nature, because the human mind is very powerful, very powerful. Man is nowhere near the realization of how powerful the human mind is. So what do? You take advantage. Every little, you say every little helps. Everything you know you can do to make your mind believe that that futuristic demand, desire, need, idea is being done in the present. Some call it visualization, because you have a mental picture of what you want to be. But don't make it look in your mind frame that it's futuristic, because your mind will begin to see it as something that is not tenable. But feel it this way, feel it now. Make it realistic, make it present. And the more you culture it and mold it with a very powerful desire, emotion, is almost like what fuel does to car. A car, no matter how beautiful, if there is no fuel, that car will not move. An idea, a thought, a desire, no matter how lofty, no matter how demanding, if there is no emotional backing to it, it becomes just mere fantasy. So, all these subtle things, by the time you keep building it, tell your child, now you want to be a doctor, am I right? She or he will say, yes, daddy or mommy, yes, uncle or whoever. Then tell that child, good, you are a doctor now. You are a doctor now. Talk like a doctor, feel like a doctor. They say if you want to be a millionaire, think like a millionaire. It might sound like a cliche. It might even sound to some people laughable, and they will say, but the issue is this. All these things help. It helps. It helps you, edge forward, closer, bit by bit, to who you want to be and eventually become that. But the issue is that the world has been so focused on the idea that these things are mere fantasy, or it's even forlorn. It's almost like a fool's paradise, or building castles in the air, no matter what they call it. But it doesn't matter. What you call these things don't matter. That there is force of gravity, I kept telling you, or you don't know about it, does not make force of gravity not to act on you. That you don't see oxygen does not mean if you cover your nose with your hand, you won't feel it. You see the difference. So the much you can do with yourself to help yourself get what you want, be who you want to be, help the world in any little you can, do it. So the bottom line is, feel what you want to be in the present. Now, it's enough of living it or making it futuristic. When I grow up, when I get money, when I do this or that, that is when this happens. It's conditional. But if you just identify who you want to be, what you want to be, what you want to achieve, and make it present, start feeling it. Talking about it more regular, repeating the variable to yourself, which is almost like self-induction. And if your mind picks that message, you are not far from realization of that particular desire. Okay? So, if you keep working on all these things sequentially, bit by bit, nobody has an encyclopedia of knowledge of how life variables work. But because life is a function of law and order, controllable and uncontrollable variables, so the much you can control, the much you can, try to take advantage of, go about it. What's the point of leaving it futuristic, almost like at the whims and caprices of luck? But if you start channeling all these little variables towards this way of saying, okay, now that I've identified who I want to be, what I want to do, where I'm going from here, maybe in 5 or 10 years, but it doesn't matter the time. Start now to behave, feel, act that way. The more you do it, the more your internal variables, your spiritual variables, your human and biological variables will start working along that particular line. And in no distant time, you find out that you will not be too far from realization of this your need that you left as a function of time, maybe even uncertainty, because we have the power. God has given it to us, the grace. God has given us the power of the mind. We are being asked, go and subdue the world. We can't be given that kind of injunction if we're not given all the necessary skills and prerequisites necessary to effect such injunction. So my brothers and sisters, look a little bit more inwards. Identify actually what you want to do, who you want to be, how you want to affect the world, a particular plan or desire. But instead of leaving it futuristic, start feeling that way now. Start feeling that way now. Especially, it cannot be overemphasized. For the younger ones, for the kids, we have to start early to make them to begin to feel who they want to be, how they want to be. Now, teach them. For example, if a child is too young, he doesn't know how a doctor should feel, because everything has to do with the feedback, what the idea of what a doctor and who a doctor is, or what an engineer or a president or a scientist is. So those things, it's now for you to help culture them, expose them and groom them. The problem is many people, even parents, hoard information, hoard knowledge, even from their children. People hoard information from others. The little you know, no matter how much you see it as insignificant, share it. This is the way the world gets better. And you see, this is one of the advantages of, the internet, exposure, making people to know what you thought maybe it wouldn't be of help to them, but at the end of the day, find out that every little helps. So let's form a global synergy, come together, aggressive induction, creation of awareness all over the world to make the world a better place. In which case, collectively, we continue to be solution providers in every situation, platform, environment we find ourselves. And collectively, the world will continue to be a better place. Okay? All right. See you some other time. Bye.